Good morning and welcome. We'd like to welcome you all to our ongoing Ambassador and Diplomat series. We have a very, very, very special guest this morning, and we're so excited to be able for you to meet her, but we were also lucky enough to meet her, and we are going to get to that shortly. As you know, this Ambassador and Diplomat series happens during Welcoming Week. Welcoming Week is when cities across the United States highlight the newcomers, the international friends and family, the immigrants, the refugees who call that city home, and Cleveland is really thrilled to be making Welcoming Week happen again this year. We couldn't do this work without our important sponsors, as you can see on both sides of our backdrop. And they are the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Cleveland Water Department, Italian Tours and Travel by Diana, where you can purchase tickets for a raffle to visit Vicenza through Diana's Italian Tours. K&D, the United Church of Christ, Katney's Classics, the City of Shaker Heights, Cleveland State University, Cuyahoga Community College, Cuyahoga County Public Library, Dealer Tire, Downtown Cleveland Alliance, the Greater Cleveland Partnership, the 2021 Cleveland Marathon, the Union Home Mortgage Marathon through Jack Staff, October 23rd and 24th, Swagelock, Welcome House, Platform Brewery, AMS, Medical Mutual, Grants Plus, the Cleveland Transformation Alliance, Mitchell's Ice Cream, the Mansur Gavin Law Firm, Margaret Wong and Associates, Midtown Cleveland, Neighborhood Family Practice, the Legal Aid Society of Cleveland, Cleveland Foundation, the City of Cleveland, and Cuyahoga County. With all of these incredible sponsors and partners, we are very grateful. And I was saying a little bit earlier on a call that we had with Leonardo that half of the organizations that I mentioned are led by Italian Americans. So on this day of celebrating the incredible bridges between Italy and Cleveland, between Vicenza and our sister city in Cleveland, we're very fortunate there is so much Italian American leadership here in our city. It gives me a great honor now to introduce Consul General Allegra Baistrocchi. Allegra was born in Rome in 1980, where she earned a degree in political science at the University Guido Carli, and subsequently a master's degree in international relations with the Società Italiana. Prior to following the footsteps of her family at the service of her country, she gained invaluable professional experience in the private sector and then entered the diplomatic corps following the selection process, representing the great sovereign nation of Italy. At the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, she was assigned to the Director General for Cooperation and Development as Vice Chief of Staff and the Director General. And upon returning from a brief assignment at the Embassy of Italy in London, she was tapped to oversee Italian cooperation projects in Asia, the Pacific, the Middle East, South America, and Europe. And now the United States is fortunate that she is here. From 2017 to 2021, she was Deputy Head of Mission at the Italian Embassy in Colombo, Sri Lanka, and the Maldives Islands. And as of September 21, she's taken up her duties as Consul of Italy in Detroit, with jurisdiction over the states of Indiana, Kentucky, Michigan, Tennessee, and her favorite state, the state of Ohio, the state of Ohio, and her favorite city, the city of Cleveland. Allegra is happily married and the mother of 2 children. We are so fortunate to welcome her. To all of our friends and family, to the diplomatic series, welcome Consul General Baistrocchi.
Thank you so much. Thank you, President Joe Giuseppe Chimperman, for having me here. I have to say that you are truly carrying out your aim at making Cleveland the most friendly and welcoming city and community. I have to say that everybody at Global Cleveland was so helpful, and Mrs. Kuzma in particular. I want to say un caro saluto to Consigliere de Marzo from Vicenza, your sister city. I have to say that Vicenza is absolutely gorgeous. So I am a little bit jealous that somebody has already won a trip there. And I have to say, if you haven't been, please do. And thank you for those that have signed up to participate or are listening to this presentation of mine that want to learn a little bit more about the consulate, about our relationships with Ohio and specifically with Cleveland, and how we can deepen these ties. I realize that I am not so great with time management because I love to speak and I love to speak about my country. So I'm gonna sort of break it down into 4 different parts, a little bit about me, an introduction to Italian heritage in the US, specifically with Cleveland and Ohio, fun facts of Italy, as I like to call it, and then how we can deepen these ties. So as President Chipperman said, I'm a 4th generation diplomat. So my great-grandfather was posted in Hong Kong in the 20s, and my grandfather, and then my dad. And so I was a little bit hesitant to start to follow in the footsteps, because I thought, well, maybe I'm only doing it because of the family ties. So I spent over a decade in the private sector first, and then the calling was too strong. I wanted to promote my country. I wanted to promote, all that Italy represents. And so here we are. As as Joe said, I am coming from Sri Lanka, where I was the deputy head of mission. And as of the 1st of September, I've started here in Detroit. So be very, very gentle with your questions later, because I'm still trying to get grips to everything that's happening. But I have to say, whilst we are located in Detroit and we have the most amount of Italian citizens in Michigan, we actually have the biggest amount of Americans of Italian heritage in Ohio. And I know this only because on the first day that I started my posting here, I got a phone call from Senator Alberisi, which in Italy takes care of relationships with the US within the Senate. And, she welcomed me to my post and she said, so how big is the community? And I said 17,000 odd Italians living in the jurisdiction, which are Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, and Tennessee. And she said, great. And how many Americans of Italian heritage? And I was a little bit stumped because I hadn't looked it up. So I said, hold on, let me get my facts straight. And it ends up that I went on the United States Census Bureau database. So there are 16 plus million Americans of Italian descent in the US, of which 2.7 million are in the Midwest. And specifically in Ohio, there are over 700,000. And in the county of Cuyahoga, I hope I pronounced that right, there are roughly 110,000 American Italians or Italian Americans, or however we want to describe it. And so how did this amazing immigration happen to Ohio? Italy, is the Romans, the birthplace of Western civilization. We had the Renaissance, we had art, we had literature, we had music, diplomacy, religion. So why would somebody want to leave this amazing Eden and move? And what happened was in the latter years of the 19th century, there was an increase of population in our peninsula. And the agricultural aspect of Italian economy was not up to par with the large-scale developments that they had in the US. So let's say between 1880 and 1940, it's estimated that between 4 and 5 million Italians moved to the United States. And we have documented facts, recorded facts, that over 25,000 Italians came specifically to Cleveland. And those Italians tend to come from either Patti and Palermo in Sicily, from Benevento in Campania, and from Campobasso in Abruzzo. And so about 70% of the Italians that have come to Cleveland come from those 4 cities. So the way that Italians would congregate, they would tend to go to where other Italians already were, hence the fact that 70% was from those 4 cities. And they would tend to organize themselves into associations, such as the Dante Alighieri Cultural Circle, into neighborhoods, such as Big Italy and Little Italy, and the other ones that are known in Cleveland, and settle happily, integrate in the community. Now, we also have a much more recent immigration, which is after the Second World War, in the latter half of the 20th century, which is much more business oriented. So it's not the traditional immigration. It's usually highly skilled and well-educated Italians that decide to reside in the US and represent their business and their professions. They're usually either engineers, professionals, people that come to be stationed in a company's American outlet, and are usually on a more temporary basis. We have some awesome examples of Italian companies that are based in Ohio, such as NLX, Panini, Sofidel, Eurostampa, Luxottica, which does something like 95% of all the glasses, as in like sunglasses and eyewear, in the world. So there is that in Ohio from Italy right now. What I like to say is there are many fun facts about Italy that people don't necessarily know about. But prior to that, I want to say that obviously the pandemic has not been easy on any country. And in Italy specifically, we were the first European nation to actually be hit by the pandemic in such a big way. And so we have reacted to it, as Italians always do, when there is any event in history that, tends to be thrown upon us, and that is with resilience and with optimism. So one of the really good statistics that I can tell you today is that in the second trimester of 2021, Italian GDP actually grew by 2.7%, which is really awesome. And, you know, as a basis for comparison, the US in the second trimester went up 1.6 and the EU went 1.9. So at 2.7, that is really exciting for us. The IMF and our central bank have forecast that for 2021, we will be between the 3 and the 5% growth for our GDP, which will set us more or less at pre-pandemic levels by mid next year. So that's our resilience showing across. Let me give you some information on Italy, especially with regards to business and economy and markets, because I think that's possibly what is most interesting for the global Cleveland community. We are one of the world's top economies and markets. We are the third largest national economy in the European Union and the 8th largest in the world. We like the number 8, so we're also the 8th largest exporter in the world with over 532 billion worth of goods exported. And we are in the top 5 countries for trade surplus in manufacturing with a surplus of over $100 billion. So we are very much export oriented. We're also a strategic logistics hub connecting global markets. I can give an example of a family friend that I know since when my dad was Consul General in Hong Kong in end of the 80s, early 90s. He was an Australian gentleman with an Australian company living in Hong Kong and with production for his company in India. And he decided to move to Italy because he said it's so much easier, that there are more connections, there is more, it takes me less time to get abroad, or, you know, I'm very central with respects to the world. So if I need to go to Asia, if I need to go to Europe, if I need to go to the US. So we are very good in our logistics, not only our capacity, but also where we are positioned. One thing that is less known, I think, is that we are excellent in research and development and innovation. Within the EU, Italy is the first country for companies investing in research and development in their respective areas of specializations. We are also second for the number of designs protected by the EU IPO, the Intellectual Property Office. We have a very highly competitive machinery section and a strong Made in Italy brand. Now, there was a study that came out on branding, and I think it was done by a Japanese university, and they wanted to know what were the most known brands in the world. Number 1 was Ferrari, number 2 was Coca-Cola, number 3 was Made in Italy, which I find, you know, incredible considering it's not even a tangible thing. It's a concept. So we do very well with our Made in Italy brand. It's synonymous with not only innovation, but also design, with luxury. We have, out of the top 100 luxury brands in the world, 24 are Italian. So we rank second in the world for turnover to GDP in a ratio in the design sector. We are also one of the most automated countries in the world and the 6th for exporting of industrial robots, which I find kind of cool. We have a skilled and competitive workforce, which offers a better cost performance than its comparable European partners. We have an unparalleled cultural offer. We are the first cultural influence in the world, according to the BAV Group and the Wharton School of Pennsylvania. So what does that mean? They do a sort of roundup of the cultural, the art, the music, everything that Italy represents, and we've come out first for a number of years now. We have a strong set of political policies and incentives to improve competitiveness. We have a reform-minded administration, which is pro-business and pro-growth, and we have a country that is open for foreign investments. So who would not want to deepen their ties with Italy after my little spiel? I'm in a strong conviction that Usually the way relationships work between countries is you start off with cultural ties, which then move into commercial ties, which move into political ties. So you get to know a culture, that you get to, live it. That means you want to trade with it or you want to invest in it, and which means then it becomes important politically as well. So the starting block is culture. And so how can we deepen those with Cleveland? The first thing I would say is visiting Italy. And as I said, very lucky that somebody gets to go to Vicenza already. It's a great place to start, but obviously the whole of our peninsula is absolutely gorgeous. Tourism was one of the key factors in the Italian economy, and pre-pandemic, our yearly numbers were circa almost 125 million touristic arrivals per year, with 426 million overnight stays. So we do tourism quite well. Another thing, as I proposed to Mrs. Kuzma, is taking some Italian lessons, which obviously helps. We have the Dante Alighieri Society in Michigan, which is also responsible for Ohio, and they offer a number of classes, both at a high school, middle school, elementary level, and also university courses are available. And then obviously they do one-on-ones, and so it's an easy way to get started with knowing some Italian. And then obviously getting to learn more about our culture through the many events that are available. And obviously the consulate hopes now to restart with some of our own in that respect. So from the cultural comes the commercial. So in 2020, trade between Italy and the US was at about 70 billion. So that makes us the 15th commercial partner of the US, a figure that I feel can be much bettered with your help, especially. We can trade some more and we can have better economic ties. So I've only been in office here 2 weeks, so be gentle when you have questions later on. But I've taken some time prior to my arrival to look at where possible synergies may lie. Obviously, the advanced manufacturing sector, which I hear is very, very strong in Ohio, is also in Italy. So I'm sure there is a lot of scope for synergy there. Aerospace and aviation. I know that Ohio is the birthplace of aviation, and you're a top supplier globally for the largest aviation manufacturers, as well as doing R&D, education and training resources for NASA and the Ohio Aerospace Institute. I think it's important for everybody to know also that we are also very concentrated on space. We are the second country in the world to launch a civil satellite into orbit. We're the third contributing country to the European Space Agency, and we contribute more than 40% of the International Space Station's volume via ASI and companies like Thales Alenia Space. Obviously, automotive industry, lots of space for synergy here. Also in terms of production and supply of key automotive components. I think obviously that Italian cars are the best and the most beautiful, but that might be also a bit of bias, but there might be some truth there. The biohealth sector, another sector in which Italy is very interested in. We are the first in the EU for pharmaceutical manufacturing, but we are one of the biggest markets for medical devices. So I know that there are some very highly sophisticated, innovative, high quality medical technologies that are here in Ohio. So that is also a scope of interest. Food processing, the food processing industry plays an important part in the manufacturing industry. It is also our third most important sector behind mechanical and textile. So there is scope for synergies there. Information technology, clearly, because the pandemic has shown that we are going to be increasingly relying on it. So there can never get enough of this sector. Polymers and materials. So we have to thank an Italian for that, Professor Natta, who won the Nobel Prize for Chemistry in '63 for that. And then obviously, since we are talking to Vicenza, I could not end with jewelry. So Vicenza Oro and the different types of appointments that Vicenza has in the jewelry section, which all of us really love. I was going to say ladies, but I think, everybody really love. So how can we action these ties with Italy? I think the first stop could be the Italian Trade and Investment Agency. We have the branch that is under a geographical jurisdiction is in Chicago, which is also responsible for Ohio. But the way that we've structured it in the US is you get divided not only by geography, but also by sector. So it might be that the Chicago agency does not cover your sector specifically. So if you want more information, you can go to their website, which is ice.it, written ice.it. And they can put you in contact with other companies if trying to see where they can build a relationship for your companies and how to, or if there are investment options in Italy that could be of interest. And it just might help to add that there's also an investor visa. So the investor visa in Italy is a 2-year visa for non-EU citizens who choose to invest in strategic assets for the Italian economy, which means that if you want to start a startup in Italy, all you need is a minimum of 250,000 invested. If you want to have a limited liabilities company, I think it goes to 500,000. 1 million for philanthropic initiatives, if anybody's interested, and 2 million euros in government bonds. It might also be of interest to say that there's also the option for a residence visa for those of you that want to acquire a house and go live in the beautiful Italy and can have a proven income outside of Italy to support it. Of course, the consulate is always available to help out, to try to answer any questions you might have. Our website is cons, Detroit, all one word, .esteri, esteri.it. And you can always write to us at inform.detroit@esteri.it. And so, as I said, please be gentle with your questions. And we're happy to help whenever we can. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Consul. That was a wonderful presentation. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce the Lord Mayor Francesco Rucco here with us today. Lord Mayor Francesco Rucco is the Mayor of Vicenza. He is also the President of Vicenza County. He is a practicing private attorney, happily married with 2 daughters. And with him is Consigliere Leonardo de Marzo, who helped introduce our raffle, which will conclude at the end of, will conclude in December at our annual meeting for a trip for 2 to Vicenza. So thank you very much, Lord Mayor Rucco, for being here.
Good morning. Can I speak in English? Sorry, can I speak in Italian?
Yes, you may.
Ok. Una buona giornata a tutti, un saluto in particolare a voi organizzatori della Global Cleveland, un saluto in particolare alla dottoressa Baistrocchi, che è console generale a Detroit, augurandole anche un buon lavoro per questo incarico che sta portando avanti, e un saluto poi anche al mio collega sindaco della cittadina coinvolta, Mr. Jackson. Noi abbiamo, come ben sapete...
Can I interpret that? So he's saying, thank you everyone for being here. Thank you, Consul Allegra Baistrocchi. Thank you, Global Cleveland. And a thank you to Mayor Jackson of Cleveland for having us here today.
Noi siamo una comunità di Vicenza che è una comunità molto legata agli Stati Uniti, alla comunità americana, perché qui da noi ci sono 2 basi americane, la Ederle e la del DIN, e la comunità americana è ben integrata con quella di Vicenza, per cui c'è un forte rapporto di amicizia.
Un attimo, Sindaco, che ti traduco, subentro io. So, Lord Mayor said that we have a huge U.S. community here in Vicenza due to the 2 military base of U.S. Army Africa here. There's the headquarters of the South Operation of the U.S. Army. So we have approximately 3,000 or 4,000 soldiers here with their families, and they are very well introduced in our community. So there's a lot of America in Vicenza, and we want to include also. Prego, Sindaco.
Sì, grazie Leonardo. In occasione del meeting di quest'oggi abbiamo issato anche noi la bandiera americana fuori dal palazzo diciamo del comune e grazie alla collaborazione con la comunità americana tramite il consigliere De Marzo la nostra intenzione è quella di coltivare il rapporto di amicizia, di stringere rapporti di collaborazione con la vostra comunità.
To tribute the right honor to our meeting of today, Lord Mayor decided to raise the U.S. flag outside the city hall. So it's a really, really kind symbol of our intention to set up new relations with Cleveland and non mi ricordo più cosa ho detto. Sì, ovviamente, thanks to Leonardo for his incredible job and work with Cleveland and with Elizabeth and all the Global Cleveland board. Anche perché non posso trovare, c'è il console che se no mi becca.
Procedo. E quindi vi mando un saluto e aspetto che ci siano sviluppi su questa collaborazione, su questa amicizia che spero prendano strada molto velocemente proprio per i rapporti che abbiamo già stretti con la comunità americana.
He said that he's waiting for the news of our new relations, and so we want to push forward our new friendship with Cleveland. We really hope to see you soon here in Vicenza for sign the friendship agreement. So thank you very much to everybody.
Ok, io porgo a tutti un saluto e un'espressione di vicinanza per l'11 settembre che anche la nostra comunità ha ricordato l'altra sera proprio per esprimere la vicinanza al popolo americano per quella immane tragedia. Un saluto a tutti e io purtroppo ho degli impegni, delle riunioni in corso, lascio a Leonardo quale mio delegato per le relazioni internazionali. Ok, Leo?
The Lord Mayor wants to thank everyone here for being here today. Thank you, Lord Mayor, very much. We are very glad to be able to deepen this friendship with your city and Cleveland. Thank you. At this time, we are going to move on to our question and answer session. If you have a question, put them in the chat. I've received a couple of questions already, so let me just pull up the list. Okay. Let's see. The first question is about the 3 C's initiative. Consul, I don't know if you are aware of the 3 C's initiative and if Italy has an interest in potentially joining it, but we did have a question come in about that.
I actually don't know about it. So if I could learn more, then maybe I could have an opinion on it.
Okay, well, I can send you some information, but it's basically Eastern and Central Europe, a collaboration between them to strengthen economic ties and integration. And given that the countries border Italy, there was a question of whether or not Italy might consider joining as a bridge between Eastern and Western Europe. But we can discuss that maybe at our next meeting. Thank you. The second question is about how Italians in Cleveland can be substantially connected to their ancestors' home country.
So it's American Italians or Italian Italians?
I think American Italians in Cleveland.
I know that there's a wonderful website called Ancestry.com, I think it is, that actually can connect you and you can find people that are related to you within the US that you don't know about. Obviously, then there's also the matter of getting back to your roots. So obviously, if you go back to the home town, country, village where you emigrated from, usually the mayor's office is the comuni will have information on the families, etc. And even just, I mean, I've found that people have just gone to where they, they think their forefathers actually grew up, and they found their homes. And actually people are really welcoming and inviting, and they love when people come back to Italy and show like what's happened. So I've had people that have actually gone back and they've gone to see their ancestral homes. So the first thing that I would say is definitely visit. Otherwise, obviously, if there are more specific things that are required, like if you wanted information on specific things, I'm sure that consulate can also help. So if you write us an email with your specific query, we can try to sort things out for you. I know we've done that for quite a few Americans that are trying to find their roots, and we can sort of direct them to where they need to go.
Thank you. I'll say when my aunt and uncle visited Sicily when I was a child, they went to Sant'Agata di Miritello and met the, Kusmas who had not left. And it was a wonderful experience, and they were very warmly welcomed. So
trust me that the Italians will want to celebrate sort of this event, because for them it's really exciting to have somebody come back to the old country and tell about their stories and how their like the family has evolved after they left Italy, for sure. Just on a side note on that, about visiting Italy, it might be important to talk about the current situation. So Americans, those that are American passport holders, can visit Italy now. I know there's various restrictions around the world, so I just thought I'd throw that out there. They don't even need a visa, so you can stay up to 90 days within a 180-day time period. So within the 6 months, you can stay up to 3 months. They don't have to be all together. You can, bits and bob it, but maximum of 3 months within the 6 month span. So you will be required either to have had the COVID vaccination or proof that you have had COVID itself. And then on top of that, you'll also need a PCR test that was done within the 72 hours prior to departure. But it is helpful to say that then, Americans are very welcome right now. So if anybody's thinking of going to the US, this is the current situation.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, next question is about the importance of bilateral travel and what you would like to be seen within your geographic consulate area.
So about Italians coming here?
Well, both ways, both directions.
Both ways. I mean, as I said, culture is fundamental, and tourism is part of that, because you don't really get to know a country, a people, unless you get to experience it. So obviously, one of my big mandates is to, when conditions obviously allow, really push for tourism both ways. Obviously, I keep promoting Italy. It's amazing, go visit. We have everything, geographically, you get from the beaches to the mountains and anything in between. We have the museums, we have the culture, we have the heritage, etc. But a lot of people, also a lot of Italians, really want to come back to the US. Now, currently it's not allowed because of the pandemic, but as soon as borders reopen, inbound, I'm sure we're going to try to promote some more, because they let's say the states under my jurisdiction are not as well known to many Italians, so there will be quite a bit of promotion that we will be doing to get them to know Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, and Tennessee a little bit more.
Thank you. Well, if we can help in any way at Global Cleveland, we work closely with our tourism organization, Destination Cleveland, and I know that they would love to partner with you to promote Cleveland also.
Okay. And I'd love to get to know them. So when I actually will be in Ohio the first time, I definitely will want to go and meet with them as well.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. Okay, I think there was also a question on learning more about the jewelry business in Vicenza. It was not brought up earlier in the day. Can you give us a little bit of history of how that came to be an important sector?
Hold on, I actually have a little compendium on the jewelry business in Vicenza that was prepared by our ICE, so our Italian Trade and Investment Agency. So just to give you sort of an overview, we have something like 52,000 jewelry companies in Italy. And Vicenza became traditionally, I'm not exactly sure of the genesis of how it started in Vicenza, but it became where we had an annual fair. So all of the jewelry companies, not only the Italian ones, but around the globe came to Vicenza to trade, to show their like new designs, high-end jewelry, but also, custom. So there is the offering of everything. Vicenza Oro is specifically known for the gold market jewelry type. What else? Other information can I tell you? There's a lot of statistics which are a little bit boring, but I can make them available if anybody is specifically interested in that. What I can say is what they have seen is that there's an increase in men's jewelry as opposed to other years. And there is an increase of self-purchase by women. So we don't expect anymore the men in our lives to gift us the jewelry, but we're buying it directly ourselves. So millennials, Gen Z, Gen Y, they're all, they are capturing a big part of the market. And because of the pandemic, a lot of it has also gone online. So there is ease of acquisition as well. What else? There's new also tendencies such as responsible jewelry. Obviously, we're very in tune with mining rights and how things are processed and how things are for the environment. Italy is also the co-president of the UN COP26. So we are having in November a whole bunch of conferences on on climate change and how we can better that. So obviously this is also transported into jewelry, which I thought was very cool. There is more of a shift towards colored stones as opposed to diamonds. And obviously diamonds are always a girl's best friend, so they're not going anywhere, but there's more of a shift of other stones as well. So the ministry has started a communication sort of campaign on the extraordinary Italian jewelry to promote the sector. And I have to say it's gone really well. I don't know if Leonardo has some more information on us on Vicenza Oro and the other aspects of the jewelry business that could be of interest.
Sorry, I'm moving to the hotel. It's a very a crazy day in that's Rome. I'm very sorry about it.
That's all right. Well, that was very interesting.
So Vicenza Oro.
Yeah, please.
Vicenza Oro is one of the most important gold ferry in the world. In the past, also Los Angeles was behind Vicenza. Okay, now we have a challenge with Hong Kong and Los Angeles for the gold ferry. Okay, but we have just closed the Vicenza Oro September edition with 800 enterprises who came here in Vicenza for the gold ferry. Of course, Vicenza with Arezzo and Valenza Po are the two cities of gold in Italy, suffered a lot of losses during the economic crisis. Okay, in Vicenza, we said, if you open a garage here, you can find a small laboratory with people who works gold. Okay, Vicenza work with chains, okay, gold chains, rings, but not the final product. Just Consul, un semilavorato.
Oh goodness, how do you say that? The semi-worked materials. So as he was saying, I guess the building blocks to what will then become jewelry.
Thank you,
That's
Consul.
wonderful.
Sure.
And thank you, Consigliere Marzo. Another question came in about your R&D. You mentioned that Italy is in the top of R&D in a few specialized fields. There was a question about which fields are those?
They are numerous. As I said, we are the second for R&D within the EU. So the number of fields they go anything from industrial machinery to, as I said, pharmaceuticals to manufacturing. There's a number of different fields in which we concentrate on. And it's interesting because the image that often comes across of Italy is not one that is highly innovative, highly robotic or industrialized. It's, the traditional idea of Italy is, oh my God, a beautiful place, great food, great wine. Let's go for a holiday. Let's, buy some fabulous Italian cars. But there's less specific knowledge about exactly how advanced we really are. I mean, obviously we have to be if we're the 8th economy in the world. But let's say as an idea of Italy, I think it's important to get across that we do have, second highest number of patents. We are the ones that invest the most in research and development. We do have like a surplus of manufacturing of over $100 billion. So that's the sort of information that we need to get across better. Italy is not very good at marketing itself. So hopefully we can get that information across to the people here in the US.
That was wonderful information. We're at Sister Cities Conference this year. We're having a panel on Canadian Ohio trade, which is at about 11 billion. And last year we had a panel on Mexican Ohio trade, which is about 17 billion. So it would be interesting then to maybe consider, something like that for next year around Italian Ohio trade, given the number of Italian Americans and Italians within your district and within Ohio specifically also, and given that we are a manufacturing hub for the country in, advanced manufacturing as well.
Absolutely, which is why I think that there are so many possible synergies between Ohio and Italy, because there are a lot of similarities in the things that we're good at, but I think that they're more, what's the word that I'm looking for? Collaborative. I get that's not the word, but it's that they will actually integrate better,
complement each other.
Complement. That's the word I'm looking for. Complement each other as opposed to being a competitor of each other.
Right. I really hope that we can follow up with some of our companies here in Cleveland. I know that I would be interested in being able to know what list of Italian companies are here in Ohio, so that we can, as a community also reach out to them. So I know that from personal experience, the consulate is very helpful. So your office is very helpful to anyone who calls or emails. So thank you for that.
I have to say, I arrived and I am so fortunate because this consulate is a little jewel and has nothing to do with me. So I've found some very, very hardworking, intelligent, collaborative people working here, and our response rate is 100%. So if there are any questions, absolutely feel free to contact us anyway, either by phone, by email, our Facebook page. Like it if you like it. There you go.
Thank you so much, Consul. This has been phenomenal. Thank you to Mayor Rucco and Consigliere de Marzo. This will conclude our Ambassador and Diplomat series for Welcoming Week in the month of September. I am going to now thank our Welcoming Week sponsors. Without them, this would not be possible. So let me just get that. Okay, so our wonderful sponsors for Welcoming Week include the Cleveland Cavaliers, Cleveland Water Department, Italian Tours and Travel by Diana, K&D, United Church of Christ, Cantonese Classics, City of Shaker Heights, Cleveland State University, Cuyahoga Community College, Cuyahoga County Public Library, Dealer Tire, Downtown Cleveland Alliance, Greater Cleveland Partnership, the 2021 Union Home Mortgage Cleveland Marathon, Swage Lock, Welcome House, Platform Brewery, AMS, Medical Mutual, Mitchell's Ice Cream, which you'll have to try when you come, Consul,
For sure.
Cleveland Transformation Alliance, Grants Plus, Mansour Gavin, Margaret W. Wong and Associates, Midtown Cleveland, Neighborhood Family Practice, the Legal Aid Society of Cleveland, Cleveland Foundation, City of Cleveland, and Cuyahoga County. Again, thank you so very much, and we're looking forward to hosting you in person in Cleveland soon.